Under the waters off the coast of the Bahamas lies a mysterious structure that at first glance appears to be a cobblestone road laid deep within the ocean. Imagine rectangular blocks, neatly arranged in a line, stretching over 200 meters, which raise questions about their origin and purpose. Some researchers suggest that these stone formations could be remnants of an ancient civilization, possibly Atlantis, which once thrived on Earth. However, what is truly astonishing is the notion that they might simply be the result of natural geological processes, rather than a man-made creation. If you think that's intriguing enough, consider this. Edgar Cayce, the famous American psychic, predicted that Atlantis would be discovered in this very region. He claimed that the remains of this legendary civilization lie at the bottom of the ocean. And remarkably, his prophecies are beginning to come true. Underwater research reveals how sunlight penetrates the water's surface, casting magical glints on the stone blocks, while swaying seaweed seems to embrace them, adding an air of mystery. Researchers diving into this underwater symphony can feel history literally surrounding them. But the question remains, how did these blocks end up on the ocean floor? Theories range from them being an ancient trade route to them being remnants of some underwater structure that fell victim to a catastrophe. What is particularly intriguing is that some blocks are so large that they are difficult to explain by natural factors. Their length can exceed 1 meter and their width can reach up to half a meter. Local legends also speak of finding not only stones, but other artifacts as well, which have yet to be discovered. What else does this underwater road of Bimini hide? Each new expedition brings more questions than answers, and researchers continue to delve into the depths in search of answers that could rewrite our understanding of human history. Imagine a desert where sand crunches underfoot and the heat penetrates to the very bones. In this desolate landscape, hidden are incredible mysteries, the Nazca Lines. These giant geoglyphs, some of which are up to 37 meters long, depict animals, plants, and even geometric figures, as if they were enormous paintings created for celestial viewers. Each line, each curve, exhibits remarkable precision, preserved for centuries thanks to the unique climate of the region where rainfall is extremely rare. But how could ancient people create such monumental works of art without modern tools? There are numerous theories about the purpose of these mysterious drawings. Some researchers suggest that the geoglyphs served as a calendar, helping local residents track the seasons and agricultural cycles. Others believe they could have been maps of water sources, indicating the locations of hidden underground rivers. And there are those who think the Nazca Lines were ritual paths, along which ancient inhabitants would travel to places of worship, leaving messages to the gods in an attempt to attract rain and fertility. Imagine these lines etched against the backdrop of a vivid blue sky, contrasting with the golden sands beneath. Remarkably, simple tools were used to create these geoglyphs: sticks, stones, and sharp objects that allowed for precise drawing on the ground. Some of them are so complex that even today, with modern technology, their creation is a source of awe. Local residents likely gathered in groups to create these massive drawings, which could only be seen from above. But did you know that some of them were so skillfully executed that they appear to have been created from a bird's-eye view? This raises many questions. How did ancient people know how their works of art would look from a distance, and why did they create them in the first place? The temperature in the desert can reach 35 degrees Celsius during the day, while nights become cold, serving as a reminder that even the most beautiful art is created under harsh conditions. These creations, preserved for centuries, are not just artifacts, but true windows into history, making us ponder how much remains unexplained. And if you think that's all there is to it, prepare to learn about the discoveries that await when researchers continue to study these enigmatic lines. In ancient texts from various cultures, descriptions of flying chariots of gods can be found in an astonishingly similar manner, as if they were created by the same imagination. For instance, the Vedas mention Vaimani, flying machines used by gods which produce a bright glow and a loud sound, reminiscent of thunderclaps. In the Bible, we read about chariots of fire that took the prophet Elijah to heaven, and their appearance was always accompanied by a strong wind, stirring fear and awe. No less intriguing are the Sumerian texts, which describe divine beings descending from the heavens on flying machines, leaving behind a trail of light and a humming sound, reminiscent of powerful storms. But what if these descriptions are not just metaphors or myths? Erich von Däniken, known for his provocative theories, suggests that such accounts could be evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. He proposes looking at ancient legends as real events that occurred many thousands of years ago, when aliens might have used their technologies to impress people. However, critics of these theories point out that such descriptions could be metaphorical interpretations of natural phenomena, such as lightning or thunderstorms, which ancient people tried to explain through the lens of their time and culture. In this context, the chariots of gods become a symbol of humanity's quest to understand the mysteries of nature, even if this understanding is adorned with myths and legends. Each time these chariots appeared, their descriptions were filled with vivid details, gleaming lights, whirlwinds of wind, and muffled thunderclaps, creating an atmosphere of magic and mystery. And what is even more astonishing, some texts mention devices that could be interpreted as precursors to modern aircraft, possibly even with elements of technologies that people at that time did not possess. At the heart of the Indian subcontinent once lay cities that astonished with their architecture and planning. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were not mere settlements, but true megacities with straight streets and meticulous urban planning reminiscent of modern metropolises. Imagine streets paved with bricks and houses built from fired clay with flat roofs, where mornings would bustle with a lively market. The scent of fresh fruits and spices mingled with the aroma of local cuisine. Yet, this paradise of advanced technology and cultural prosperity harbored one of history's greatest mysteries. How could such a highly developed civilization disappear? Rumors suggest that climate change, altering the courses of rivers, was the cause. Numerous studies indicate that the once mighty Indus River, vital for the existence of these cities, dried up, leaving behind only sand and ruins. But that's not all. Some scholars propose that the decline of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro was influenced by the invasion of Aryan tribes, who brought new cultures and customs. What if we add to this the possibility of epidemics that could have sapped the inhabitants' last strength? Mohenjo-daro was home to an impressive citadel, towering above other buildings, which may have housed temples and public buildings. This structure was built from massive blocks, and its walls were so strong that they withstood centuries of destruction. At the city's center stood the Great Bath, a massive pool likely used for ritual purifications. This bath, measuring over 12 by 7 meters, was a symbol of the civilization's technical prowess. Notice that such a place, once teeming with life, gradually fell into disrepair. Crowded streets, once filled with people, gave way to silence and desolation. All that remains are memories of greatness, and where once vibrant markets stood, now only the wind whispers of past days. How could these cities, where life was bustling, now lie silent? Researchers still debate the causes of this great civilization's disappearance, and each new artifact found in the ruins adds new details to their story. Behind every corner lie secrets waiting to be uncovered. For instance, did you know that in Mohenjo-daro, remnants of children's toys were found, indicating the importance of family in this culture? How many people truly know that the concept of a spherical Earth has existed for more than 2,500 years? Pythagoreans in the 6th century BC, observing the starry sky, concluded that the Earth is spherical, and this was just the beginning. Aristotle in the 4th century BC not only supported this idea, but also provided compelling evidence. For example, he noted that during lunar eclipses, the Earth's shadow on the moon is always circular. This fact makes one wonder, why was it believed for so long that the Earth is flat? Eratosthenes, who lived in the 2nd century BC, made a genuine scientific breakthrough by measuring the circumference of the Earth with an accuracy of several percent. He used simple yet ingenious methods. He compared the shadows cast by columns in different cities and, based on the angles of the falling sunlight, calculated that the circumference of our planet is approximately 40,000 kilometers. Such knowledge was available to educated people in most ancient civilizations, such as ancient Egypt and Greece, where scholars passed down their observations and research from generation to generation. Sailors at sea noticed that ships gradually disappear over the horizon. first their masts, then their hulls, which served as additional evidence of the Earth's sphericity. But that's not all. Ancient astronomers, observing the starry sky, understood that stars revolve around the North Star, creating the illusion of a rotating dome over us. This knowledge changed our understanding of the world and our place in it. Thus, in the 1st century BC, the philosopher and astronomer Scipio Emiliano noticed that if the Earth were flat, stars would be visible from any point. But this is not the case. All this knowledge about the sphericity of the Earth has survived to our days, continuing to inspire scientists and adventurers. And the most amazing thing? These ancient ideas became the foundation for great discoveries that changed our view of the universe and our place in it. Have you ever wondered how ancient people could survive operations that seem impossible today? For instance, trepanation of the skull was practiced since the Neolithic period, and it is astonishing that archaeologists found skulls with precisely drilled holes, indicating that many patients survived. These holes, sometimes up to 5 centimeters in diameter, were created using primitive tools such as stone and bronze drills, as well as special obsidian drills. It is remarkable that some skulls show signs of healing, indicating successful operations without modern anesthetics. Imagine the scent of herbs used as anesthetics filling the air, and the sound of instruments scraping against bone, seemingly unbearable, yet filled with hope for those seeking relief from excruciating pain. Ancient surgeons possessed not only courage, but also knowledge passed down through generations. In Pompeii, surgical instruments were found that remarkably resemble modern ones: scalpels, forceps, and even clamps. These discoveries show that medical practice was quite advanced. Egyptian medical papyri contain descriptions of operations, including the treatment of injuries and diseases, and even descriptions of surgical interventions that could make modern doctors envious. Ayurvedic practices in India, based on ancient texts, used healing plants and minerals to treat diseases, and some of these methods are still practiced today. Did you know that in these ancient medical systems, herbs were used not only for healing, but also as anesthetics? Inhaling the scents of sandalwood and turmeric, patients could be in a state of semi-sleep during complex procedures. Many of them, despite their fear, trusted their doctors and hoped for a cure. Each step, each movement of the surgeon was imbued with anticipation when the pain would subside and life would return to normal. But that's not all. Some methods based on Ayurveda still attract the interest of modern scientists, and many are trying to understand how ancient practices can be adapted to today's medical realities. It is fascinating that even in our time, the study of the properties of plants used in traditional medicine for centuries continues. And sometimes we find that ancient healers knew more about the human body than we might think. It is truly astonishing that ancient structures were designed with such precision that they perfectly align with astronomical events. For instance, the Temple of Abu Simbel in Egypt demonstrates this grandeur twice a year, on February 21st and October 21st, when sunlight penetrates inside and illuminates the statues of Pharaoh Ramses II. This effect creates a sensation as if the gods themselves are descending to earth, and the audience, holding their breath, experiences a thrill as they watch the play of light and shadow, transforming stone into living history. Now imagine the Pyramid of Kukulkan in Chichen Itza, standing 30 meters tall, creating the illusion of a slithering snake during the spring and autumn equinoxes. Shadows cast on the steps form a silhouette that glides down to the ground, while the crowds, holding their breath, whisper to each other about the magic of this moment. Stonehenge, this enigmatic megalithic monument, aligns with the sunrise on the summer solstice, when the first beam of light passes between the stones, creating a breathtaking sight that evokes thoughts of ancient rituals and mysteries. The sounds of awestruck whispers from modern-day spectators standing among these monoliths create an atmosphere of sacred reverence, sharpening senses and allowing each person to feel a connection with past generations. These structures are not just symbols of architectural prowess. They are reflections of deep knowledge held by their creators about celestial bodies and their influence on human life. Each one, from Abu Simbel to Stonehenge, tells a story of how ancient civilizations gazed at the night sky, sought answers to their questions, and strove to understand their place in the world. It is fascinating that only in the last few decades have archaeologists made remarkable discoveries confirming the accuracy of these astronomical alignments and their significance for various cultures. It is astonishing how such ancient knowledge about the movements of celestial bodies has been preserved for millennia and continues to inspire us, unveiling the mysteries of how our ancestors perceived the world around them. Every 52 years, the Aztecs experienced a true drama. At the end of the cycle, they conducted ceremonies to renew the fire, filled with fear of a possible apocalypse. But what lay behind their unique calendar system? The Aztecs used two main calendars: the ritual Tonalpohualli, consisting of 260 days, and the solar Xiuhpohualli, which had 365 days. These two calendars did not simply exist side by side. They intertwined, creating a complex cycle that allowed the Aztecs not only to mark time, but also to predict astronomical phenomena with remarkable accuracy. Imagine the stars shining in the night sky, and the Aztecs, armed with knowledge of lunar and solar cycles, predicting eclipses and the change of seasons, much like modern astronomers. Each of these calendars had its own characteristics. The Tonalpohualli was linked to rituals and sacred events, with each day having its own deity and corresponding rituals. On the other hand, the Xiuhpohualli determined the agricultural cycle, indicating when to sow and harvest. The Aztecs placed great importance on these calendars, as they were not just tools for tracking time, but also the foundation of their religious life. For example, at the end of every 52 years, when both calendars coincided, the ceremonies to renew the fire became the culmination of the rituals, with priests lighting a new fire as a symbol of new life and the beginning of a new cycle. This was a time when the Aztecs genuinely believed that if they did not perform all the rituals, the world might end. An interesting fact: the precision of the Aztecs' calculations allowed them to predict solar and lunar eclipses many years in advance. To do this, they observed the stars from special observation platforms. The Aztecs meticulously recorded all the data, creating tables that allowed them to track the celestial passage of time. They considered not only days and months, but also years, adding rhythm and depth to their understanding of time. Each day was marked by specific events, each week had its rituals, and each month had its festivals. Imagine the Aztecs gathering on the main square at dawn, waiting for the first light of day. Their eyes searched the sky for omens, and their hearts trembled with excitement. This was not just a time, but a sacred time, filling every second with meaning. The burning heat of the new fire symbolized not only a new cycle, but also the infinity of the existence of Aztec culture, where every element, from stars to rituals, had its important place. And do you know what is most astonishing? These knowledge about time and the cosmos were not just present, they were vital to the very essence of the Aztecs. Imagine a colossal creature guarding the treasures of antiquity. Its body stretches 73 meters in length, and its height reaches 20 meters. This is not just a work of art, but the Great Sphinx of Giza, carved from a single block of limestone, which holds the secrets of millennia. Its age is estimated to be over 4,500 years, and it stands sentinel over the necropolis, observing the changes in the world around it. But what is even more intriguing? Some scientists believe that the Sphinx could have served as a solar deity, and its location is connected to astronomical phenomena that emphasize its sacred significance. Throughout the day, its face changes expression. In the soft morning light, it appears gentle and peaceful, while under the scorching rays of the midday sun, sharp shadows emerge, highlighting its grandeur and mystery. Beneath its pores, secret chambers and passages may lie hidden, revealing even more secrets of the ancient world. The legend of Tutankhamun's snow tells of a pharaoh, exhausted by his labors, who saw the Sphinx in a dream, which foretold the future. This story adds another layer of mystery to the already enigmatic figure of this stone guardian. And imagine if these hidden underground chambers contain artifacts that could revolutionize our understanding of ancient civilization. The cracked stone of the Sphinx seems to whisper about the events it has witnessed, and its stately expression evokes a sense of eternity. Each stroke, each crack on its surface tells a story, creating the effect that time has stopped here. But what if indeed, beneath its pores lie treasures waiting for their moment? Imagine how ancient craftsmen worked with granite, which has a hardness of 7 on the Mohs scale, with such precision that it seems almost impossible today. These stone blocks, weighing hundreds of tons, were not just rough chunks, but perfectly smooth slabs with polished surfaces that reflected light like a mirror. But how did they achieve such results? One of the most common theories is the use of abrasive sand, which, when mixed with water, created powerful tools for cutting. However, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Some researchers suggest that ancient Egyptians could have used copper saws, which, despite being softer than stone, could be reinforced with abrasives, allowing them to cut even the hardest stones. But this is not all. There is a theory that sound technologies were used, which could resonate with stone structures, making the processing easier. Picture such an instrument: a light, melodic sound, reminiscent of the ringing of bells when the craftsman touched the stone. This is not just speculation. Among the findings are perfectly straight angles and cylindrical drills with minimal deviation, which could rival those of modern engineers. For example, some of these drills have a diameter of just a few centimeters, but their depth is astonishing, reaching up to 30 centimeters. The craftsman not only cut, but also polished the stones to such an extent that the surface remained smooth for centuries. And the shine of the polished granite to a mirror-like state is simply mesmerizing. When tapping on such stones, a sharp, clear sound was produced, creating an atmosphere filled with mysteries and secrets. How is all this possible? The secrets of these technologies remain unsolved, and each new experiment in this field opens new horizons. For example, archaeologists continue to find not only tools, but also methods that could explain how the Egyptians achieved such precision in stone processing. But there is another astonishing fact. Among the findings are stone blocks that, according to some data, could have been cut using technologies about which we have no idea. What do you think about that? Once upon a time, Alexandria was home to the greatest library of the ancient world, where up to 700,000 scrolls were stored, collected from every corner of the known world. Imagine the atmosphere: the rustling of papyrus scrolls, the scent of parchment, the soft light of oil lamps illuminating ancient texts that could reveal the secrets of the universe. Each ship arriving at the port became a source of new knowledge. All the texts on board were copied, and the originals remained in the library. This process was so important that even famous philosophers and scholars of the time, such as Euclid and Aristaeus, could find their works here, exchanging ideas and philosophical treatises. The library not only preserved knowledge, but also served as a center of learning, where students and teachers gathered to share thoughts and advance science, literature, and art. But this golden age could not last forever. Rumors say that the library's demise is shrouded in mystery and legend. Some historians claim that the first destruction occurred during the siege of Alexandria by Julius Caesar, when massive fires consumed a significant portion of the collections. Other versions speak of destruction by order of Caliph Omar, who, in his zeal for Islam, may have seen the knowledge in the library as a threat. There are also those who believe that the library gradually declined due to lack of funding and interest from rulers. Regardless of the cause, the fall of this library meant the loss of countless pieces of knowledge that might have changed the course of history. Imagine how many great ideas, theories, and discoveries could have seen the light of day if these scrolls had been preserved. And what's even more astonishing, some scholars believe that the library held texts describing unknown astronomical phenomena and technologies that could have been centuries ahead of their time. At the heart of Crete stands a palace that would astound even the most seasoned architects. Its multi-level structure contains over 1,000 rooms connected by intricate corridors that could easily bewilder anyone trying to navigate them. This labyrinthine complex forms the basis of the legend of the Minotaur and the Labyrinth, where not only secrets were hidden, but also myths were born, passed down through generations. But what else does the Knossos Palace conceal? Its engineering systems were advanced for their time. A water supply system providing clean water and a sewage system for draining waste were true marvels that even modern specialists find astonishing. Vibrant frescoes depicting scenes of life, hunting, and ritual dances adorned the walls, immersing visitors in the atmosphere of an ancient festival, where each flower and detail was imbued with symbolism and meaning characteristic of Minoan culture. Against this backdrop, the throne room stands out, where, according to legend, King Minos himself sat. His stone throne was surrounded by majestic columns supporting a ceiling adorned with frescoes that, it is said, depicted the bull god, symbolizing the connection between local culture and the bull cult. In the storage rooms, where grain and oil were stored, there were special signs written in Linear A script, which allowed researchers to decipher some aspects of the civilization's governance and economy. Imagine how the play of light in the light wells creates a mysterious atmosphere, where each ray falls on the floor, as if illuminating the secrets hidden within this palace. The scent of the sea, carried through open courtyards, mingled with the aromas of fresh herbs and flowers, creating a unique palette of sensations, while the sounds of palace life, echoing through the corridors, reminded one of the noise of celebrations and rituals that once took place here. Amidst this splendor, many unsolved mysteries await discovery. Research into Atlantis continues to stir the minds of scientists and adventurers for millennia. Did you know that the philosopher Plato was the first to describe this mysterious island state in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias? He claimed that Atlantis was located beyond the Pillars of Hercules and was a powerful and mighty civilization that once disappeared into the ocean. But where can we find it? There are countless theories. Over the centuries, researchers and historians have proposed various hypotheses about the location of this mythical island. Some believe it was in the Mediterranean Sea, others point to the western shores of the Atlantic Ocean, where, according to some, its remnants may lie. No less intriguing are the versions about the North Sea and even the Caribbean Sea, where underwater archaeologists continue to search for traces of the vanished civilization. And what about Antarctica? Some UFO enthusiasts and researchers claim that beneath the ice of this continent, there could be ruins of Atlantis, covered with many meters of ice. Imagine a cold wind and the sound of waves hiding a secret, mixed with the salty smell of the sea, creating an atmosphere of mystery. Each year, new expeditions set sail, hoping to find even the slightest trace of this legendary country. But that's not all. Among archaeologists, there is a theory that Atlantis was not just an island, but a whole continent that was located where the modern Caribbean Sea is now. This is supported by strange geological formations and underwater structures that have attracted close attention. But how could such a great civilization disappear? Remarkably, there is a belief that Atlantis was destroyed by natural forces such as earthquakes or tsunamis. Some researchers even link this to global climate changes that could have flooded it. And here is where it gets really bizarre. Many believe that Atlantis did not just disappear, but left behind technologies that still cannot be explained. One theory suggests that the Atlanteans possessed knowledge to create powerful energy sources that could change the world. But what's even more shocking? Some people believe that Atlantis was connected to ancient extraterrestrials who brought their knowledge to Earth. On the walls of ancient caves, one can see images that at first glance resemble astronauts in spacesuits. These mysterious drawings, found in various corners of the world, raise questions about possible encounters between our ancestors and extraterrestrial civilizations. Vedic texts describe vimanas, flying machines that could traverse great distances in the sky, and some researchers claim that these descriptions could have been inspired by real events. What about the cosmonaut figures among the Maya? They are depicted in complex rituals, and proponents of the paleocontact theory believe that this indicates the presence of highly advanced technologies that ancient peoples might have encountered. In medieval frescoes, one can find images that resemble modern-day flying saucers, leading to the thought, could our ancestors have witnessed something completely extraordinary? Arguments from proponents of this theory are challenged by the scientific community, which points to the lack of convincing evidence and the fact that many of these images can be explained by myths and cultural symbols. But imagine what it would have been like for ancient people to encounter beings with technologies they couldn't understand. This could have inspired both awe and fear of the unknown. Advanced technologies, the sudden appearance of civilizations, their achievements in architecture and astronomy, all raise many questions. What really happened in those distant times? What influence could these encounters have had on the development of human culture? And what is even more intriguing, some ancient texts mention gods who descended from the heavens, leaving behind traces that remain unexplained to this day. In the ancient Indian epic Mahabharata, there are passages that evoke awe and make one ponder the depth of human thought and technology. The shining weapon, which, according to descriptions, emitted light brighter than 1,000 suns. Imagine how this weapon could incinerate everything around it, leaving only desolation. Food became poisoned, and those who survived lost their hair and nails, as if the effects of this mysterious device were otherworldly. These lines, written in an archaic language, encapsulate ideas that sound as if they could have been spoken by modern scientists describing nuclear tests. But that's not all. Vedic texts mention vimanas, flying machines that could move through the air with such ease that their movements defied earthly physics. How, in a world filled with myths and legends, could such images emerge, reminiscent of modern technologies? In China, ancient manuscripts describe mirrors that could transmit images over distances. These remarkable descriptions evoke a sense of reverence, making the reader wonder how ancient civilizations could possess knowledge that was centuries ahead of their time. Each paragraph of these texts is filled with metaphors and images that paint vivid pictures, as if a whole world of technologies, beyond the reach of modern humans, comes into view. These texts, filled with magic and mysteries, seem to hint, perhaps not all that we know about the development of technology is true. And the most intriguing part? Ancient texts contain hints that these technologies could have been lost or hidden from humanity for millennia. Among the remarkable artifacts of the Quimbaya culture from Colombia, the most striking are the gleaming golden figurines that remarkably resemble modern airplanes. These miniature masterpieces, crafted by jewelers over 1,000 years ago, feature triangular wings and a vertical stabilizer, causing one to ponder the knowledge that ancient craftsmen might have possessed. When researchers created large-scale models based on these figurines, they discovered that they exhibited aerodynamic stability, raising the question, could people at that time have understood the principles of flight? Each figurine shines under the museum lights, reflecting the intricacies of ancient jewelry making. Elegant lines and proportions contrast with primitive metalworking techniques. How did they manage to create such complex forms? Some scientists suggest that these models could be stylized depictions of birds or insects, while others are convinced that they are evidence of the existence of ancient aircraft. Have you ever considered that these artifacts might be connected to myths and legends about flying creatures in ancient cultures? Imagine how local inhabitants might have seen birds in the sky and attempted to replicate their flight in their creations. These golden airplanes not only captivate the imagination, but also force us to rethink our understanding of the technologies and knowledge of those times. What is even more astonishing is that some of these figurines are of a size comparable to modern toy models, making them even more enigmatic. The findings from Colombia are not just artifacts, but a key to understanding how technologies and culture could have developed in pre-Hispanic America. But what is even more astonishing? Research shows that these figurines may depict not only airplanes, but also objects resembling modern helicopters. So, if you thought these were just artistic creations, think again. Look at these mysterious golden airplanes from a new perspective. How might this have influenced the ancient people's perception of their world? Queen Nefertiti, whose beauty and influence left an indelible mark on history, stands at the center of one of the most intriguing mysteries of ancient Egypt. Her portraits, crafted by the artists of her time, testify to her extraordinary grace and power. The famous sculpture found in Amarna is renowned for its realistic depiction. She was not only the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, but also played a pivotal role in his religious revolution, when the worship of Aton became dominant in society. But what happened to Nefertiti after the 12th year of her husband's reign? Suddenly, any mention of her vanishes, as if she had disappeared into thin air. How could a queen with such power and influence vanish without a trace? Theories abound. Some suggest she may have fallen victim to an epidemic, others that she was exiled or that she changed her name and ruled as a co-regent. Some researchers even propose that she may have ruled alone under the name Smenkhkare. And here's where it gets truly bizarre. Archaeologists continue to search for her tomb, but it seems hidden from human sight. During these searches, a mummy known as the Younger Lady was discovered, which may belong to Nefertiti. This mummy, found in the tomb Kv35, raises many questions. Is it really her? Studies suggest that she had distinctive features similar to those depicted on Nefertiti's statues. But that's not the strangest part. Traces of disease were found in her, which could support one of the theories about her death. So, what happened to this charismatic figure who had such an impact on her era? No documents have preserved the details, and each new discovery only adds more mysteries to this story. And the most amazing thing? Scientific research using modern technologies continues to reveal new facets of this mystery, and perhaps soon we will know who Nefertiti really was. In the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, you will find something that makes you believe in the existence of electricity in ancient Egypt. Strange images that resemble elongated objects, reminiscent of incandescent lamps. These bas-reliefs depict objects with something that can be interpreted as a thread inside, and a connection to a source that is difficult to explain. Imagine yourself in the semi-darkness of the temple, where the play of light creates an atmosphere of mystery. You look at these enigmatic bas-reliefs, and a question arises. What do they really mean? Some researchers claim that these are evidence of knowledge about electricity, which probably existed at the time. But there are other interpretations. Other experts point out that these images may symbolize the lotus, which blooms with the rising sun, embodying life and rebirth. But that's not all. In addition to these lamps in ancient Egyptian artifacts, golden objects are found that indicate the existence of advanced chemical knowledge. For example, in some tombs, paints have been preserved that, according to scientists, used special chemical substances that allowed them to remain bright for thousands of years. Imagine how, in this temple filled with silence, you feel the touch of an ancient secret when the light plays on the walls, illuminating these bas-reliefs. Do you know what is even more shocking? In other places throughout Egypt, researchers have found artifacts that raise questions about how advanced the ancient knowledge of electricity and chemistry was. For example, in other temples, images are encountered that can be interpreted as symbols of various energy sources, and this makes you wonder what else is hidden in the ancient texts and artifacts. Does ancient Egypt still hold more secrets that we have not yet deciphered? Imagine a world where in the heart of Mesopotamia, a green oasis thrives, as if it stepped out of a fairy tale. The Hanging Gardens of Semiramis, one of the 7 wonders of the world. It is said that these terraces, supported by powerful columns, rose to heights of up to 30 meters, giving the impression that they floated above the earth. Yet, despite their fame, archaeologists have not yet found definitive remains of these gardens, which has sparked endless debates about whether they truly existed or were merely a figment of imagination. How was this wonder constructed? It is believed that a complex irrigation system lifted water from the Euphrates River to such heights, sustaining exotic plants that bloomed with fragrant flowers, filling the air with a sweet scent. Picture the warm breeze bringing freshness from the sound of water flowing through stone channels, creating a melodious backdrop for those resting in the shade of luxurious trees. What a contrast to the surrounding desert. While the heat and drought reign around, the gardens were cool and green, with vibrant flowers of every color. However, what is astonishing is that no archaeologist has been able to pinpoint their exact location. Some believe the gardens could have been located in ancient Babylon, while others suggest they were in Nineveh. Moreover, some researchers propose that these gardens were merely a metaphor, symbolizing the splendor and power of rulers. This only fuels the interest. If they did exist, what did their structures look like, and what plants grew there? Questions outnumber answers, and each new day brings new opportunities for research. For imagine if one day we find their traces. It would change our understanding of ancient civilizations. Imagine a place where each stone block weighs up to 800 tons, and their surfaces are so perfectly smooth that you couldn't even fit a knife blade between them. Puma Punku, This mysterious site in the highlands of Bolivia is not only astonishing in its size, but also in the incredible precision of its stonework. The blocks here are made of andesite and granite, such hard materials that their processing, even with modern tools, presents enormous difficulties. How did ancient masters manage to create such architectural masterpieces at an altitude of more than 3,800 meters above sea level? Some of the stone corners achieve accuracy to within 1/10 of a millimeter, challenging any assumptions about primitive construction methods. But that's not all. Many blocks bear metal clamps that connected them to one another, raising questions about the technologies used to create this architectural marvel. The site is surrounded by thin mountain air, where silence seems almost ominous among the ancient ruins, and the contrast between the rugged landscape and the incredible precision of the stonework creates an atmosphere of mystery that scientists have yet to solve. And here's the most intriguing part. Despite all these achievements, there are no written records of the construction of Puma Punku. How then was such a grand structure built without records or instructions? This question remains open, and each attempt to find an answer only deepens the enigma surrounding this place. Against the backdrop of majestic mountains and a sparkling sky, one thing remains. What were the secrets of these ancient builders that allowed them to create such stone artworks? At an elevation of approximately 119 meters on the slope of a hill in the Atacama Desert, there is a gigantic anthropomorphic drawing known as the Giant of Atacama. This colossal geoglyph, which is over 120 meters long, is striking in its clarity and contrast. The dark lines of the figure stand out against the light background of the desert, creating an impression of an ancient message left for those who gaze upon it from above. How is it possible for people to create such a large image in one of the driest places on Earth? Research shows that for its creation, a technique was used where the upper layer of soil and rocks was shifted, exposing the lighter soil beneath. This process required immense effort and time, and preliminary estimates suggest that the geoglyph could have been created more than 2,000 years ago. But why did the ancient people leave it here? One theory suggests that the Giant of Atacama could have served as an astronomical marker, helping to orient oneself in the starry sky, while another proposes a connection to a deity symbolizing fertility. Some researchers believe that this geoglyph served as an indicator of water sources in conditions where every drop of water was precious. The desert air, heated by the sun, creates the illusion of mirages, and when looking at the giant, it seems as if it comes to life. Imagine the ancient people standing at the foot of the hill, admiring its grandeur, filled with hope for a successful harvest or a successful journey in search of water. This figure seems to whisper the secrets of its creation, waiting for someone to once again pay attention to it. It is hard to believe, but in this lifeless desert, there are still unsolved mysteries hidden. Did you know that near the Giant of Atacama, there are also other geoglyphs that could be part of a larger system of signs? Imagine thousands of years ago, in the pre-dawn silence, people gathered around mysterious earthen circles that served as observatories and gateways to the sky. The Goseck Circle in Germany, dating back approximately 4,900 years before our era, is an impressive structure with concentric circles of earthen banks and wooden posts, perfectly aligned for observing sunrise and sunset on key days of the year. These ancient builders likely used their knowledge of solar cycles to precisely determine the moments of equinoxes and solstices, allowing them to synchronize their agricultural practices with changes in nature. Now, imagine the sun slowly rising, illuminating the openings between the ancient posts, creating a sense of connection to the cosmos. But that's not all. There are other astonishing observatories in the world, such as Stonehenge in Britain, where massive stone blocks, arranged in a complex configuration, were used to track the movement of the sun and moon. Newgrange in Ireland, with its magnificent stone tomb, also served for observations, where sunlight penetrates its dark corridors only on the winter solstice days. These structures, created by people who did not even have the tools we consider necessary for astronomy, speak of a deep understanding of celestial cycles. How could they build such precise constructions? The secret lies in their reliance on centuries of star and sun observations passed down from generation to generation. What is even more astonishing, the observatories of the Maya, who used complex mathematical calculations and astronomical observations to create accurate calendars, allowed them to predict eclipses and other astronomical events with remarkable precision. These ancient civilizations were true masters of astronomy, and their structures continue to inspire awe. How much knowledge is hidden in these stones and banks, created by people who sought to understand their place in the vast cosmos? Each circle and each tomb carries stories of how our ancestors sought answers to eternal questions about time and space. Imagine a moment when on the banks of two mighty rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, a completely new civilization suddenly arises, as if emerging from the mists of time. This happened around 4,000 years before our era, when the Sumerians began to create their city-states, such as Ur and Uruk, with populations numbering in the tens of thousands. Their culture was so advanced that even then they used cuneiform script, one of the earliest known forms of writing, which became the basis for recording laws, religious texts, and even literature. These people, who called themselves black-headed, believed that their civilization was given to them by beings known as the Anunnaki, who, in their opinion, descended from the heavens. But what is truly astonishing, the Sumerians possessed astronomical knowledge that even modern scientists are amazed by. They could accurately determine the movements of planets, including those not visible to the naked eye, such as Uranus and Neptune, describing their orbits with remarkable precision. How did they do this? The mystery remains, but picture the scribes on clay tablets recording their observations with the rustle of reeds in the marshes, creating astronomical tables that left their mark on history. Their irrigation systems, stretching for tens of kilometers, allowed them to cultivate the land and ensure harvests, which became the foundation for the prosperity of this culture. Each of these systems was meticulously designed using knowledge of geometry and hydraulics, which seemed to be available only in the future. And what is even more shocking, the Sumerians developed a calendar based on lunar cycles, which was so accurate that it was used not only for agricultural work, but also for religious rituals. They also created the first legal system in the world, recorded on clay tablets, which confirms their desire for social organization. The steppes between the rivers became a place where not only the economy, but also culture, art, and science developed, which seemed to have emerged from nowhere, but was perhaps the result of interaction with unknown civilizations to us. Studying the Sumerian civilization, we delve into a world where every element, from architecture to language, seems full of mysteries waiting to be revealed. Imagine a world where magnificent palaces with plumbing and sewerage systems soar into the sky, and streets are filled with vibrant frescoes, depicting marine landscapes and mythical creatures. This was the Minoan civilization on Crete, one of the most advanced cultures of its time, which seemed to be destined to last forever. But in an instant, everything changed. A powerful eruption of the volcano on the island of Santorini became a catastrophe that destroyed this flourishing world. Near Crete, the volcano roared, its thunderous sound echoing for many kilometers. Massive waves, caused by tsunamis, crashed onto the shores, sweeping everything in their path. Ash filled the sky, blocking out the sun, and panic gripped the once thriving cities. But this is only part of the mystery. How could such a developed civilization disappear so quickly? According to one theory, a powerful eruption occurred around 1600 years before our era, with catastrophic consequences. Tsunamis destroyed harbors, wiping out the fleet that maintained trade with other lands. Climate changes caused by ash emissions could have destroyed agriculture, leaving the Minoans without food sources. However, there are other theories. Some researchers suggest that the invasion of the Mycenaeans, Greek warriors, also played a role in the fall. Internal social conflicts might have weakened the unity of the civilization, making it unable to withstand the onslaught. Consider this from the perspective of those who lived at the time. In an instant, their world filled with art and trade crumbled like a house of cards. Picture the residents running through the streets, trying to save their lives as the sky turns black with ash, and the sound of the roaring volcano grows louder. With each passing moment, their hopes fade, and they realize they cannot resist the forces of nature. The Minoan civilization, which left behind extraordinary works of art and architecture, vanished as if it had never existed, leaving only mysteries for future generations. And what is even more astonishing, archaeologists continue to find traces of their lives, which could change our understanding of this great civilization. Imagine the majestic ziggurats rising towards the heavens, like colossal staircases linking the earthly and divine realms. Some of them reach heights of 90 meters, their stepped form creating a unique silhouette against the horizon. Built from fired clay bricks and adorned with glazed tiles that sparkle in the sun with vibrant colors, they possess a distinctive luster. Ziggurats were not just architectural marvels, but also the centers of ancient city life, where religious, social, and economic aspects intertwined. Do you know that even today, scholars debate the exact function of these structures? Some believe they were temples where rituals were performed in honor of gods, while others suggest they served as astronomical observatories from which celestial bodies could be observed and weather changes predicted. Yet, there are also theories that these structures may have served as shelters during floods, providing refuge for residents when rivers overflowed. And of course, we must not overlook their symbolic significance. Ziggurats could represent the world mountain to which the faithful aspired to ascend, drawing closer to the heavenly realm. Picture the breathtaking view from the top platform, where houses surrounded by green fields appear like toys. The long shadows cast by the ziggurat at sunset create an atmosphere of mystery and grandeur, while climbing the monumental stairs gives the sensation of approaching the heavens, as if you yourself become part of this divine space. And what is even more astonishing, on the summits of ziggurats, altars were often found, used for sacrifices, and it was there, amidst the clouds, that ancient priests communed with the higher powers. Ancient Egyptians knew that life did not end with death, which is why they created the Book of the Dead, a collection of spells that served as a guide for souls seeking to overcome the dangers of Duat, the afterlife. This sacred text was filled with instructions to help the deceased navigate the trials that could prove fatal. What's most remarkable? One of the most important rituals was the weighing of the heart before Osiris, the god of the afterlife, who judged the souls. The heart, symbolizing the virtues of the person, was placed on one side of the scales, and on the other was the feather of Ma'at, the symbol of truth and justice. If the heart was heavier than the feather, the soul found no rest and was subjected to a terrible fate. But the afterlife journey was not just a trial. It was filled with numerous dangers, from malevolent creatures ready to consume the soul to cunning traps that could confuse even the bravest. The Book of the Dead offered spells that could repel demons and open doors leading to the fields of Ialu, the Egyptian paradise filled with greenery and eternal joy. Imagine, the soul finally reaches this place where the Nile flows through blooming meadows and the sun never sets. This was the ideal to which everyone aspired, and that's why funeral rituals were so solemn. Mummification played a crucial role in this process. Bodies were carefully prepared and preserved to ensure immortality. Each mummified corpse was wrapped in special fabrics, and the internal organs were placed in jars, which were also found in the tombs. These jars, known as canopic jars, protected the vital elements needed for the afterlife. But that's not all. Along with the deceased, various objects were placed: food, tools, and even toys to ensure comfort in the afterlife. Picture the flickering of torches illuminating the burial chambers and the priests reciting spells, creating an atmosphere of sacred anticipation. Each ritual was not just a formality. It was a deep faith in the belief that life continues, and that even after death, the soul can enjoy eternity. And what's even more astonishing, some tombs contained not only the Book of the Dead, but also personal records of the deceased, where their virtues and achievements were described so that Osiris could see what kind of person they were in life. Thus, ancient Egyptians created an entire system of beliefs that has left its mark over thousands of years and continues to amaze scholars and adventurers. Have you ever imagined a statue that majestically towers over the sea, as if guarding the harbour from any enemy? The Colossus of Rhodes, one of the most famous statues of antiquity, was exactly like that. Its height was 33 meters, making it almost twice as tall as a modern 10-story building. The construction was made of bronze, gleaming in the sun, and stood on a massive stone base that added to its imposing presence. As sailors approached the harbour, they could see the sun's rays reflecting off its surface, creating a blinding light that may have served as a kind of lighthouse. Picture the sound of waves crashing against the base of this colossal figure, creating an atmosphere of grandeur and power. The statue was built in 280 BC in honor of the sun, the god Helios, and symbolized the victory over the enemies of Rhodes. What is interesting is that some historians suggest that the Colossus may not have simply adorned the harbour, but also served a practical function as a lighthouse for ships entering the port. This mythical guardian seemed to gaze into the distance, protecting the waters of Rhodes from storms and invasions. However, its existence was short-lived. In 226 BC, the Colossus was destroyed by a powerful earthquake that shook the island. The remaining fragments lay on the ground for more than 80 years before even the Romans, impressed by its size, decided to melt down the bronze. For centuries, the Colossus remained a symbol of strength and ambition, inspiring artists and sculptors, and its image was reflected in various works of art. Did you know that its form and dimensions were used as a model for many statues in subsequent centuries, including the Statue of Liberty in New York? Imagine a city whose area is 8 times larger than that of the largest contemporary megacity, and whose mystery has yet to be unraveled, giving rise to legends. Teotihuacan, which translates from Nahuatl as the place where people become gods, was once one of the largest cities in the world, with a population exceeding 100,000. Before your eyes unfolds the Avenue of the Dead, stretching over 2 kilometers, where each step echoes as if the ancient walls whisper their secrets. On both sides of the avenue rise monumental pyramids. The Pyramid of the Sun, standing 63 meters tall, and the Pyramid of the Moon, slightly smaller but no less impressive, offering a breathtaking view of the entire city. These structures are not merely stone constructions. They were created with astonishing precision, their angles aligned with the cardinal directions, and their layout adhering to strict geometric symmetry, as if the city was carved out of the very fabric of the cosmos. What is truly astonishing, however, is that despite their grandeur and scale, the creators of Teotihuacan remain a mystery. For they were not the Aztecs, as many assume. For centuries, the city flourished, then vanished, leaving behind only ruins and a multitude of unanswered questions. Why? What compelled its inhabitants to abandon such a magnificent place? You will feel the wind sweep between the pyramids, playing with shadows and light that dance on the steps of the monuments. The sounds of footsteps, reflecting off the stone walls, create an atmosphere that fills the space with history, as if each stone here holds memories of the past. And what is even more astonishing, scientists still cannot explain how and why the city was built with such precision, or what technologies were used to create these monumental structures. Did you know what stands in the highlands of Bolivia and causes awe among researchers? It's the Gate of the Sun in Tiwanaku, a magnificent portal that reaches a height of 3 meters and a width of 4. Carved from dense andesite weighing around 10 tons, every centimeter of this monument breathes mystery. Its central part features a bas-relief depicting a god with rays, which, according to some scholars, symbolizes solar cycles. But that's not all. The gates are aligned in such a way that during the equinoxes and solstices, the sun passes precisely through their opening, suggesting an astronomical significance. Imagine this. Every year, at specific moments, the sun's rays precisely illuminate this ancient symbol, creating extraordinary plays of light and shadow on its intricate surfaces. The mysterious symbols surrounding the gates remain a mystery. Some consider them sacred signs, while others believe they may be connected to astronomy or a calendar. The air here is thin, as if the very spirit of the place is imbued with sacrality. You feel time stopping when standing before this monument, and you wonder, what did these constructions truly mean to the ancient inhabitants? Local legends tell of the Gate of the Sun being a portal to another world, a place where gods descended to Earth. Isn't that intriguing? And did you know that the doors not only served ritual purposes, but could also be used to display astronomical events, making them not just a monument, but a complex astronomical instrument? For centuries, in the shadows of majestic temples and mysterious forests, societies existed that preserved knowledge accessible only to the chosen few. For instance, the Eleusinian mysteries held in ancient Greece were true initiation rituals where participants, undergoing numerous trials, gained secret knowledge about life and death. These ceremonies included nighttime rituals by torchlight and enigmatic symbolic gestures passed down through generations, creating an atmosphere of profound mysticism and significance. Did you know that these rituals granted initiates access to ancient teachings about the nature of the universe and even the afterlife? Meanwhile, the Pythagorean Union, founded by the philosopher Pythagoras, did not merely study mathematics and music, but also adhered to strict discipline and secrecy. Members of this society took oaths of silence and followed a multi-level system of initiation, where each new piece of knowledge was revealed only after strict adherence to rituals and trials. These secret gatherings took place in secluded locations where only the most devoted could reach the highest levels of understanding. And here is where it gets truly fascinating. The cult of Mithras, which emerged in the Roman Empire, also had its complex rituals, including initiation ceremonies that could last an entire night. This society bound its members not only by religious practices, but also by philosophical teachings that revealed the deep aspects of the human soul and the universe. In these societies, practical knowledge of medicine and astronomy intertwined with mystical truths, creating a unique fabric of knowledge hidden from the majority. Each meeting was accompanied by mysterious passwords and signs that only true initiates could understand. In this atmosphere of secrecy and sacred terror, participants felt part of something greater than themselves, as if a thread of tradition connected them to ancient civilizations. Isn't it interesting? These practices and teachings had a profound influence on many modern philosophical and scientific directions, shaping even what we today call Western civilization. On a map created by the Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis, the coastline of Antarctica is depicted, which has been hidden under a thick layer of ice for thousands of years. And this is simply astonishing. How did he manage to draw this outline in the early 16th century, when the continent remained unknown to Europeans? Piri Reis claimed to have relied on ancient sources, including maps dating back to antiquity, which raises many questions. How could ancient civilizations have access to such precise geographical data? Researchers note that the map contains remarkably accurate measurements that can be compared with modern satellite images. For example, the details of the coastline shown on the map match modern research of the continent, confirming that beneath the ice cover there are indeed structures that correspond to what Piri Reis drew. This raises questions. Where did he get such knowledge? And this is not all. On maps created before Piri Reis's time, lands that are believed to have been discovered only in the 19th and 20th centuries are also depicted. For example, a map created in 1488 shows the contours of the coastline, which could not have been known without significant geographical knowledge. One such map, which attracts attention, was created in China and contains images of continents that were named much later. Scientists still cannot explain how cartographers of that time could create such detailed images. In the 20th century, when active research of Antarctica began, scientists encountered factors that cast doubt on traditional views of how these lands were discovered. Research shows that beneath the ice cover, there are many secrets that may have been known to ancient civilizations. Do you know that some of these maps contain elements that may indicate the use of technologies that we are not even aware of? For example, on one of the maps, contours can be seen that correspond not only to the coasts, but also to the internal structures of the continent, such as mountain ranges and rivers. This raises the question, could ancient civilizations possess knowledge that we have lost over time? Why were these maps not part of our historical heritage? And this is not all. Quite recently, scientists discovered that some maps have signs indicating the use of globe-like models, which suggests that ancient cartographers could have understood the Earth as a sphere long before it was generally accepted. Piri Reis and his predecessors left a mystery that continues to puzzle researchers to this day. In the mountains of China, granite discs with a diameter of about 30 centimeters were discovered, which have attracted the attention of archaeologists and researchers worldwide. Known as the Dropa discs, these artifacts feature a central hole and are covered with spiral grooves that resemble micro-engravings. What is truly astonishing is their history, which dates back to 1938 when archaeologist Chipu Te discovered them in secluded mountain caves hidden from civilization. Imagine a mysterious cave filled with echoes, where each step resonates with a rustle and a cold wind pierces to the bone. And there, amidst the stone walls, these enigmatic discs are found, as if left by extraterrestrials themselves. But that's not the most peculiar part. The study of the discs has led to numerous theories, including the suggestion that the spiral patterns could be inscriptions detailing the crash of a spacecraft. What's even more astonishing, many scientists examining these artifacts believe that the entire story is a hoax created to attract attention to ancient mysteries. Nevertheless, the spiral patterns continue to spark interest and debate. What do they truly mean? Perhaps they are encrypted messages left by extraterrestrial civilizations, or simply the work of ancient craftsmen. Each disc exudes an aura of mystery, making one ponder what might be hidden within the depths of our planet. The spiral lines, both captivating and intriguing, evoke images of distant worlds and unknown secrets. It's easy to imagine each researcher holding a disc, feeling a connection to something entirely otherworldly, linked to the cosmos. And even more intriguing is the fact that when the discs were found, they became not just artifacts, but symbols of unsolved enigmas that continue to draw the minds of scientists. But here's the thing. Despite all the debates and theories, there is still no definitive answer to what these discs are and what their true origin is. Researchers continue to return to these mysterious artifacts, trying to decipher their meaning. And the most intriguing part? Each new analysis could lead to completely unexpected discoveries that would forever change our understanding of ancient civilizations and their possible contacts with other worlds. Imagine crystal skulls. These enigmatic artifacts discovered in Central America are breathtaking in their elegance and mystery. The polishing of each skull reaches such perfection that it seems as though they were carved from a single crystal. Their anatomical precision is astonishing. The skulls have all the details one would expect from a real human skull, including clearly defined cheekbones and eye sockets that appear empty but captivate the viewer with their cold gleam. These skulls refract light in a remarkable way, creating a play of colors that is both mesmerizing and thought-provoking. Some researchers claim that these are ancient artifacts with mystical properties, used in rituals or for communicating with spirits. However, what is astonishing is that other scientists believe these skulls are clever 19th century forgeries created to attract tourists and enthusiasts of the occult. This paradox only adds to their intrigue. It is known that some of these skulls have been displayed in museums, and each one sparks debate about its origin and purpose. How could such complex objects have ended up in the hands of our ancestors? Or is it simply the result of the skill of an era when craftsmen strived to create something truly unique? The cold touch of the crystal against the skin adds another layer to this mysterious experience. Light passing through the transparent material creates the sensation that a whole world is contained within the skull. These skulls are not just objects. They become objects of veneration and research interest for archaeologists and historians. And the most fascinating part? Some of them may be older than we can imagine, and their story is still waiting to be revealed. Incredibly, but true, ancient civilizations possessed astronomical knowledge that still amazes scientists today. For instance, the Maya, observing the heavens, calculated the length of the solar year with an accuracy of up to 20 seconds. This knowledge allowed them to create calendars used to determine planting times and holidays. And here's a fascinating detail. The Babylonians predicted lunar eclipses based on systematic observations collected over many centuries. They recorded lunar cycles and used complex mathematical models to predict the next eclipse. And that's not all. The builders of Newgrange in Ireland created a megalithic structure that is precisely illuminated by the sun's rays only on the winter solstice. Imagine this. In the silence of the temple observatory, under a night sky filled with countless stars, priests observed celestial phenomena, filled with awe at the grandeur of the cosmos. They recorded each moment, understanding that the moving bodies in the sky were not merely objects of contemplation, but held great significance for their lives. And then there is the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek engineering device that could calculate the movements of celestial bodies with remarkable accuracy. This mechanism, found on a shipwreck near the island of Antikythera, is a crucial testament to the sophisticated astronomical knowledge of its creators. It used gears and wheels to calculate the positions of the moon and planets, and its precision continues to captivate astronomers today. What other secrets does this mysterious device hold? Did you know what's most intriguing about the curse of the pharaohs? The death of Lord Carnarvon, who died under mysterious circumstances shortly after the opening of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. Just a few months after entering the tomb, he met an unexpected and terrible fate that shocked the world. He was found dead in his Cairo apartment, and his death was accompanied by strange coincidences. At the exact moment he died, the lights went out in London, fueling rumours of a curse that supposedly guarded ancient tombs. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Other researchers involved in the expedition began dying one by one, adding more mystery and horror to the story. Scientists tried to explain this phenomenon, pointing to possible causes. Toxic mold spores that could have been present in the sealed tombs and released toxins into the stale air of the ancient burial chambers. In such dust-filled, silent rooms, torches barely illuminated the hieroglyphic warnings on the walls, as if warning the unwelcome guests not to disturb the ancient peace. Some experts spoke of psychosomatic effects. Under the influence of fear and anxiety caused by entering such untouched tombs for centuries, people could experience severe distress, which could lead to serious illnesses. Remember how Lord Carnarvon felt strange weakness and discomfort while in the tomb, which could have been caused not only by physical factors, but also by the psychological pressure experienced by all members of the expedition. What's intriguing is that in this context, even mysticism and science intertwine, creating a captivating picture. When it comes to curses, archaeological discoveries often mention other cases, such as the death of archaeologist George Bennett, who died a few days after visiting a tomb in 1923, and his death was also shrouded in mystery. But what's truly shocking is that in some cases, after the opening of tombs, people reported strange sensations, feeling as if someone was watching them from the darkness. A parade of ancient events would pass before their eyes, and the air in the tombs would become heavy and ominous, as if chaos itself were awakening to remind of its existence. And you know what's the craziest part? There are still many tombs waiting to be discovered, and who knows what secrets they hide beneath layers of sand and time. The Sphinx, with its silent grandeur and enigmatic gaze, raises questions about its true age. Some scientists believe that this monument could be older than generally thought, and this is supported by remarkable discoveries. Geologists have noticed erosion marks on the Sphinx's body, which they believe could only have been caused by prolonged periods of rain characteristic of the region more than 10,000 years ago. Imagine the ancient plateau of Giza, when rain washed over the stone figures, creating deep furrows and leaving traces of time on its surface. But this is not the most astonishing part. The astronomical alignment of the Sphinx with the constellation Leo suggests that it was built when this constellation was in the eastern part of the sky, which could have been around 10,500 years before our era. This astronomical alignment opens up a world of ancient knowledge that may have been lost over the centuries. Picture the sunlight and shadows playing on its weathered face, highlighting each wrinkle as if each one holds its own story. The silent Sphinx, its hard crust and rough surfaces, speak of eternity, untouched by time, inspiring awe and reverence. As the sun's rays touch its stone skin, there is a sense that it is not just a monument, but a keeper of secrets that could change our understanding of history. Its presence on the plateau of Giza does not just symbolize ancient Egypt, but also poses a question. What do we really know about the past? And what is even more shocking? There are theories that the Sphinx was not the only such structure, and that there could have been others around it that have not yet been discovered. Deep beneath the earth of Cappadocia lie entire underground cities that can even astonish the most seasoned travelers. Imagine that some of them have up to 20 levels, immersing you in a world where underground tunnels connect living quarters, storage areas, and even places for religious rituals. These cities, carved into soft volcanic tuff, offer a layout reminiscent of a complex labyrinth. Ventilation shafts for fresh air, wells for water, and even security systems with massive stone doors that could protect from enemies. But why build such enormous underground complexes? One of the most prevalent theories is that these cities served as shelters from persecution and enemy raids. Over the centuries, as various empires sought to conquer these lands, residents found refuge in these subterranean labyrinths, where cool air and muffled footsteps created a sense of security from the outside world. It is intriguing that some researchers suggest these underground cities were also used for storing and producing wine, as evidenced by the discovery of amphorae and other winemaking equipment. And this is where things get truly extraordinary. Some of these underground chambers were places of worship, where people gathered to perform rituals in the flickering light of torches reflecting off the walls carved from volcanic tuff. When exploring these subterranean realms, you can feel the cold air enveloping you, and the sounds of your breath and footsteps create an atmosphere of mystery. No less astonishing is the fact that some cities could accommodate up to 20,000 people, challenging our notions of how ancient peoples lived. The underground cities of Cappadocia hide not only secrets but entire worlds, of which we know only a small part. The most shocking thing? Some of these underground complexes remain largely unexplored, with new discoveries continually emerging, capable of altering our understanding of the past. Imagine holding in your hands an ancient artifact dating back to around 250 years before our era, which could revolutionize our understanding of past technologies. This is the Baghdad Battery, a clay vessel resembling a pot, inside which is hidden a copper cylinder and an iron rod, creating a unique structure. Found in Iraq, this battery raises numerous questions about its use. When filled with an electrolyte, such as vinegar or lemon juice, it can generate a voltage of 1 to 2 volts, enough to cause a slight tingling sensation upon contact. What if this was a device for electroplating metals, allowing them to be covered with a thin layer of gold? Picture the ancient craftsmen using it to create magnificent jewelry that sparkled in the sun like stars. Or perhaps the Baghdad Battery had medical applications. Some researchers suggest it could have been used to treat illnesses by providing a current that might stimulate tissues. And what about religious rituals? The slight tingling sensation felt upon contact with the device could have been perceived as divine intervention, while the glow from the treated metals added a mystical aura. Consider how the ancients might have perceived this artifact. The dull metal, the weight in their hands as they held it, and the mysterious allure emanating from the device, which could have been part of their rituals or daily life. But that's not the most intriguing part. Did you know that there are various theories about how exactly the battery could have been used? Some scientists even propose that these devices could have been part of a more complex system connected to electrical experiments that would astound a modern person. How did such a technological breakthrough occur so long ago? Did you know what ancient Merida hides? This place is where architecture speaks in different languages, blending elements of Maya, Toltec, and other cultures into a single space, creating a mystery that intrigues historians. Walls built of limestone, up to 3 meters high, are entwined with dense jungle greenery, and the sounds of the tropical forest create an atmosphere as if you've stepped into another world. Each stone here breathes history, and it's no coincidence that Merida, once a major trade and cultural center, connected various civilizations, facilitating not only the exchange of goods, but also ideas. But that's not the most peculiar thing. Among the artifacts found during excavations, one can see unusual items such as ceramic ware adorned with Toltec motifs and even jewelry that may have been brought from distant Central America. One of the most enigmatic artifacts is a carved stone with an image that, according to archaeologists, could be evidence of contacts with cultures thousands of kilometers away. Imagine how in this city, surrounded by tropical vegetation, people from different corners of the world met, exchanging not only goods but also cultural traditions. But that's not all. In Merida, traces of complex water supply systems that provided the city with clean water, as well as remnants of markets where life was bustling and goods were exchanged for gold and cocoa, have been discovered. Traveling through this place, one can feel how each building holds a history full of secrets and unspoken mysteries. But what is even more astonishing? On some walls, ancient frescoes have been preserved, depicting religious rituals and myths, linking local legends with the cosmology characteristic of many civilizations. These images served not only as decoration, but were also important elements in the lives of the people who lived here. Merida is not just a city, it is a whole world waiting to have its stories told. And each new discovery makes us ponder the depth of connections between different cultures, of which we were not even aware. In the jungles of Central America, majestic temples, once towering above the earth, now lie hidden beneath the foliage, like forgotten secrets waiting to be revealed. During the 8th and 9th centuries of our era, the Maya civilization abruptly abandoned their magnificent cities, leaving behind empty squares and deserted palaces where once laughter and joy echoed. How could such a disappearance occur? One of the most widely discussed theories suggests that sudden droughts decimated agriculture, leaving people without food and water. Imagine the rustle of leaves as winds sweep through the trees, and the silence broken only by the sounds of wild animals now roaming the abandoned streets where markets and festivals once took place. Studies show that rainfall levels could have dropped by 30%, which would have been catastrophic for already depleted resources. But that's not all. Some scholars believe that wars between city-states led to the destruction of social structures. Powerful states like Tikal and Copan suddenly found themselves in a state of constant tension, and amidst this chaos, social unrest began to brew, fueling discontent among the population. Under mounting pressure, where each day became a struggle for survival, people began to leave their homes, leaving behind only the shadows of their former glory. And here's where it gets truly bizarre. Epidemics that could have claimed the lives of tens of thousands of Maya added even more fear. Some researchers believe that diseases brought in from other regions could have been the final straw for an already weakened civilization. Places once filled with life are now shrouded in mystery and desolation, where wild nature has reclaimed the land. The soft sounds of leaves crunching under the feet of researchers drown out the echoes of the past, and the thought that these cities could once again flourish lingers in the air. What's even more shocking? No one can say for certain what really happened to the Maya, and the mystery of their disappearance continues to captivate archaeologists and historians around the world. Suddenly, without any warning, Cro-Magnons appear on the stage of archaeology, and with them comes art that captivates even the most contemporary artists. These people, with all the features of modern humans, suddenly begin to create realistic cave paintings that not only depict animals, but also convey their movements, emotions, and even character. In caves where primitive lamps flicker, casting shadows on damp walls, we see red and black paint, made from natural pigments, come to life before our eyes. Consider this. How did these artists master such complex techniques without any apparent predecessors? No direct ancestors, no traces of art. Just a sudden emergence of skill that seems like a miracle. The use of notched needles, harpoons for fishing, and atlatls, spear throwers that allowed for precise projectile launches, raises even more questions. How could Cro-Magnons reach such technological heights so quickly? Complex tools like harpoons, up to 30 centimeters long and made from durable materials, speak to a high level of craftsmanship. And here is the mystery. Where did these skills come from? It seems as if an entire culture emerged from nowhere, as if they came from another world to bestow their masterpieces upon us. Walls adorned with ancient drawings become a bridge between times. We can imagine these artists sitting in semi-darkness, surrounded by the same natural sounds that we hear today. These images are not just art. They are a reflection of a complex spiritual life and an extraordinary connection to the surrounding world, which we may never fully understand. And in this context, another mysterious artifact appears. Musical instruments made from bone and wood that could produce sounds that filled the caves, as if the spirits of the ancestors were whispering about their experiences. These instruments, from flutes to drums, open up a completely new world where music played as important a role as painting. And the most intriguing part? In some caves, there are images of people playing these instruments, making the question of the origin of Cro-Magnons even more intriguing. How is it possible that stone blocks weighing up to 80 tons were fitted with such precision that the gaps between them did not exceed 1 millimeter? These magnificent structures, standing under the scorching sun of the desert, cast long shadows on the sand, and the sounds of the stones rubbing against each other create a melody of the labor of thousands of workers, sweating in the heat and breathing in the scent of freshly cut limestone. The pyramids, oriented with such precision that their angles deviate by no more than 1/10 of a degree, even puzzle modern engineers. How did the builders manage such a complex task? There are various theories explaining the movement of these massive blocks. Some claim that ramps were used, others suggest systems of levers, and some even propose that the blocks could have been moved along waterways created specifically for this purpose. Imagine groups of workers, in the midday heat, raising their hands to overcome the distance between the quarries and the construction site, using simple tools to shift stones that, by today's standards, could be part of a skyscraper. Each block was processed with such care that its surface looked almost mirror-like. But the question remains, how did they achieve such perfect fitting? The secret may lie in the use of simple but effective technologies, about which we can only speculate. Through the shadows cast by the pyramids at sunset, one can see the diligent hands, drenched in sweat, laying the stones, measuring each step with incredible precision. And as we ponder the ancient methods, a question arises. What else do these magnificent structures hide, which still remain a mystery to archaeologists? On the island of Easter, which is lost in the vast expanses of the Pacific Ocean, stand hundreds of monumental statues known as moai, majestically gazing at the horizon. These stone giants can reach heights of up to 10 meters and weigh up to 80 tons, making them some of the most impressive structures on the planet. Each statue possesses distinctive features: massive heads with high foreheads, elongated noses, and thin lips, as well as expressive eyes that were once adorned with white coral and red stone. Situated along the coast, the moai look towards the sea, creating an atmosphere of mystery and grandeur, while the sound of ocean waves crashing against their stone feet adds a unique ambiance to the place. But how were these heavy statues moved from the quarries to the coast? Many theories have been proposed, with one of the most popular suggesting that they were transported using logs on which the statues rolled like wheels. However, there is also a hypothesis that the island's craftsmen made the moai walk by rocking them from side to side, allowing them to move across the surface. This idea is supported by the fact that some statues were found in an incomplete state, indicating that the transportation process was complex and labor-intensive. Presumably, the creation of such monuments required not only skills, but also significant resources, including a workforce that could number several hundred people. The wind that sculpts the stern faces of the moai creates a sense of isolation, as if these statues exist outside of time and space, guarding their secrets from curious eyes. Did you know that some moai have special bases that could have been used for stabilizing them on uneven island surfaces? This only adds more questions to this already intriguing story. Few people realize that the technologies of ancient Rome were not just advanced for their time, but genuine marvels of engineering that continue to inspire awe today. For instance, Roman concrete, made with the addition of volcanic ash, could harden even underwater. This discovery allowed the construction of structures that not only endured centuries, but grew stronger with each passing year. Imagine the process of building with this unique material. Workers mixed lime with volcanic ash to create a mixture that easily took shape and then transformed into incredibly strong stone. The aqueducts built by the Romans were not just water delivery systems, but architectural masterpieces. Some reached heights of 40 meters and lengths of up to 100 kilometers, with water flowing at a constant speed due to precise calculations of the slope. The sound of water flowing through stone channels created a sense of harmony with nature, while the coolness felt inside the thermi was a true respite on hot days. The marble floors of Roman baths, polished over centuries, felt like velvet underfoot, and their beauty was mesmerizing. The paved roads of Rome, many of which still exist today, provided ideal conditions for travel and trade. Their width sometimes reached 6 meters, allowing 2 carriages to pass easily. But that's not all. The underground sewage system developed by the Romans became the foundation for modern urban systems. This engineering marvel, known as the Cloaca Maxima, not only drained wastewater but also maintained cleanliness in the city. It's worth noting that the Romans were the first to use arches and vaults to create large spaces, such as the Pantheon, with its impressive dome of 43 meters in diameter. And what's even more astonishing, this dome remains the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world to this day. In the caves of Liguria, on the north of Italy, mysterious rock paintings have been discovered that raise many questions. These figures, at first glance, resemble modern submarine apparatuses, long and slender, with rounded shapes that seem to dwell in the cool shadows of the caves. The age of these images is estimated to be more than 30,000 years, making them not just artifacts, but genuine windows into the distant past of humanity. The dim light of the cave creates an atmosphere of mystery. When you stand before these paintings, time itself seems to stand still. Some researchers suggest that these could be stylized images of boats used by ancient people for hunting or fishing. However, if you look closer, some details seem too complex for that time. What is even more astonishing? There are theories asserting that these paintings could be evidence of highly advanced technologies in prehistoric times. In that case, who could have created these images and for what purpose? Local legends speak of ancient inhabitants of these places encountering mysterious creatures living in the depths of seas and rivers, and trying to capture their likeness on stone. As scientists continue to unravel the mysteries surrounding these paintings, new hypotheses emerge. For instance, some researchers believe that these could be images of real animals living in water, such as dolphins or sea serpents. But then, why do they look so unusual? These figures, like guardians of ancient secrets, hold millions of questions within them, and each new discovery only adds fuel to the fire. Just imagine how many secrets this world could reveal if we could understand what our ancestors depicted on these stone walls. There is a remarkable parallel: pyramids in Egypt, Mesoamerica, and China. Each of these civilizations, separated by thousands of kilometers of oceans and mountains, created their own versions of these monumental structures, reaching heights of up to 100 meters, as if in a single impulse. But how is this possible? In Mexico, the pyramids of the Sun and Moon in Teotihuacan, and in China, the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi, surrounded by terracotta warriors, all share not only a similar form, but also a common meaning: a connection with the sky and the divine. If you thought this was just a coincidence, consider this. In many cultures during the same period, solar symbols such as circles and spirals appeared, used to represent the solar deity. How could this have happened simultaneously in different corners of the planet? Flood myths, familiar to all of us, also often have striking similarities. The Babylonian Epic of Gilgamesh, the biblical Noah, and the myths of the Polynesians living on islands all tell of a catastrophic flood that destroyed a large part of humanity. This raises questions. Could ancient peoples exchange knowledge, or is there some common memory of catastrophes passed down through generations? To explain these parallels, there are various theories, including diffusionism, which suggests the spread of ideas and technologies through cultural contacts, and the hypothesis of an ancient mother civilization from which all others could have originated. And here is where it gets truly bizarre. In some cases, archaeologists find construction techniques that are remarkably similar in essence, such as the use of large stone blocks processed with extraordinary precision. In Peru, on the territory of the Inca civilization, builders used technologies that allowed them to join stones without using mortar, creating structures that have stood for more than 500 years. At the same time, in Egypt, blocks weighing up to 30 tons were lifted using complex systems of levers and inclined platforms. How is this possible? The striking similarity in architecture and symbolism makes one wonder if there were some common principles known to many ancient peoples. For example, in India and Mesopotamia, they built stepped temples that resembled Egyptian pyramids in shape. What is even more astonishing? In many cultures, there were legends about great teachers or deities who brought knowledge of construction and astronomy. In Mesoamerica, these were gods like Quetzalcoatl, and in ancient Egypt, Thoth. The question remains, where could these ideas have come from? The complexity and scale of these parallels evoke genuine admiration and raise many questions. For instance, How could ancient inhabitants build such monumental structures without modern technology? They used their knowledge of stars and natural cycles to create architecture that served practical purposes, but also reflected their worldview. In this context, the specifics of their construction and symbolism become not just historical facts, but part of the mystery of how humanity developed and interacted over centuries. Remember, in some cases, these technologies and symbols not only intersected, but also evolved in the same direction, creating bridges between cultures that we still barely understand. Do you know that once a stone was found that opened doors to a world of lost knowledge? This extraordinary artifact, the Rosetta Stone, is a black basalt stele with 3 identical texts carved on it in different languages: Ancient Egyptian, Demotic, and Greek. The dimensions of this stone are impressive. Its height reaches 72 centimeters and its width is 45 centimeters. But what is most astonishing about this stone is its rough surface, on which the signs stand out vividly, as if left by ancient craftsmen. These hieroglyphs, which had remained a mystery for centuries, became the key to understanding one of the most enigmatic languages in human history. When, in 1812, the French Egyptologist Jean-François Champollion first carefully studied this stone, he did not suspect that his discoveries would change our perception of ancient Egyptian culture. Using the Greek text as a basis, Champollion was able to decipher many of the signs and connect them with ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs that seemed to have been forgotten for millennia. He noticed that the sounds in the Egyptian language corresponded to certain signs, and this became a real breakthrough in decipherment. Thanks to his work, we learned that hieroglyphs are not just symbols, but a full-fledged writing system in which each letter has its own meaning and sound. But that's not all. The discoveries made possible by the Rosetta Stone allowed historians and archaeologists to peer into the lives of ancient Egyptians, understand their religious rituals, culture, and their views on life and death. For example, the texts on the stone contain references to important events and deeds of the pharaohs who ruled at that time. This allowed scholars to compare data and restore the historical context. Visually, the Rosetta Stone is not just a piece of stone, but a genuine link to the past. The contrast between the dark surface and the carved signs creates a feeling that you are touching history itself. Each hieroglyph seems to whisper about the secrets that await discovery. What is it like to hold in your hands the key to understanding an entire civilization? And do you know what is most captivating? Thanks to the Rosetta Stone, we were able to read ancient texts that describe not only the lives, but also the deaths of pharaohs, their divine ancestors, and the rules by which they lived. Each stone of Stonehenge is not just a massive block, it is a gigantic enigma, weighing up to 50 tons, which ancient builders transported over distances of up to 240 kilometers. How did they manage this without modern technology? Some scientists suggest that they used wooden sleds on a slippery surface, greasing them with fat to facilitate transportation. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, for Stonehenge is not just a collection of stones, but an astronomical masterpiece. The arrangement of these massive blocks perfectly aligns with solar and lunar cycles, creating extraordinary effects. On the days of the winter and summer solstices, sunlight penetrates between the stones, illuminating the interior space, which may have been used for rituals or observations. Isn't that astonishing? But there's more. Archaeologists propose theories that Stonehenge could have been an ancient observatory, a ritual center, or even a place of healing. The sounds of the wind whistling between the stones create an atmosphere of mystery and tranquility, making you wonder, how much knowledge is hidden within these frozen monoliths? Imagine standing in the center of this ancient structure, bathed in the first light of dawn. It is indeed remarkable, but research shows that complex astronomical observations could have been conducted here, predating modern discoveries. And what is most intriguing, to this day, it remains unclear how ancient people could have achieved such harmony between nature and architecture using only primitive tools. Each stone, each crack, and each shadow speaks of knowledge that has been lost over centuries. But did you know that some of the stones were brought from Wales, and their route remains a mystery to historians? Did you know that it's astonishing? In ancient civilizations, water supply engineering reached such heights that their systems still inspire awe today. For instance, Roman aqueducts, which could transport water over distances of up to 100 kilometers, were not just pipes, but true architectural masterpieces. Imagine water flowing in channels cut through mountains and plains, and the echo of dripping water in stone and concrete arches. Each Roman city had public baths where people cleansed and socialized, with the water temperature maintained by a complex heating system. In one of the most famous baths, the Baths of Caracalla, up to 30,000 visitors could be accommodated at once, and their walls were adorned with mosaics and statues, creating an atmosphere of luxury and comfort. But that's not all. In Mohenjo-Daro, one of the earliest cities of the Indus Valley Civilization, a sewage system was developed consisting of over 1,500 meters of underground pipes that carried wastewater, keeping the streets clean. Each building had its own toilets that discharged waste into common channels, which was a breakthrough for the time. And now, imagine the Cretan-Minoan water supply systems made of terracotta pipes that collected rainwater and supplied it to homes. In these systems, water flowed so smoothly that you could hear its gentle murmur, and the coolness of the underground cisterns provided relief on hot days. Can you picture how people in ancient times enjoyed the clean running water, feeling the contrast between this freshness and the dusty, crowded streets of their cities? It's amazing that such constructions, created thousands of years ago, still inspire modern architects and engineers to create new solutions. And the most incredible thing? Some aqueducts are still in use today. In the tropical rainforests of Costa Rica, hidden are astonishing mysteries. Hundreds of perfectly spherical stone spheres that evoke both admiration and bewilderment. These spheres range in diameter from several centimeters to 2.5 meters and can weigh up to 16 tons. The primary material from which they are made is granodiorite, making them not only durable but also heavy. Their nearly perfect spherical shape is striking. The spheres are so smooth that one can only speculate about the technologies used to create them. But there's more. There are theories that these stone spheres could have served as astronomical markers, helping ancient peoples navigate space, or as symbols of status, indicating the power and wealth of their owners. What is even more intriguing is the arrangement of these spheres, which forms specific geometric patterns that may suggest a high level of mathematical knowledge among those who created them. Imagine how the humidity of the tropical air embraces these man-made perfect forms, contrasting with the chaotic vegetation of the jungle. Each step on this land feels like a touch to an ancient enigma, which may hold secrets of long-lost civilizations. Sometimes it seems as if these spheres are even watching what is happening around them, like guardians preserving their secrets for centuries. Some researchers suggest that these stone formations could have been used as navigational aids, adding another layer to their mystery. Picture ancient people wandering through these forests, relying on these stone giants to find their way in this dense, foggy jungle. It's hard to believe that these spheres could contain knowledge of stars and time, becoming part of some ancient ritual. And this is just a small part of what might be hidden behind these enigmatic stone formations, which continue to be of great interest to archaeologists and historians. Now imagine if they were indeed connected to some ancient astronomical observations.